There's a difference between a choice and a decision. Most of the time, we are overwhelmed with choices. And decisions are based on Cat wanting to move away. Or, really, decisions are basically cutting yourself off from other options. Choices, there are infinite choices. So, how do we get out of analysis paralysis or just overwhelm of choices? Knowing what your values are, knowing what you desire, knowing that some decisions cannot be changed. That's why people get overwhelmed too. They don't like the concreteness of making a decision. Like, I'm going to quit my job, like today, and then they don't like the fact that they made a decision and they get backpedal. Or some decisions that people have made maybe in November, they are regretting the decision. Decisions have more regrets than choices. Sometimes choices can be very difficult based on the push-pull of like conflicting desires or morals. Like, say you have a choice between left or right. It's like that. There's a psychological test that they do for, it's an old test. I don't think it's like really used in the same way anymore, but for psychopathy is that you give a person like a train track. So on one train track, like 40 people are on the one train track tied to the track. The other one, there's one person tied to the track. And the person that is up above is forced to make a choice between choosing one track or the other. And that's the moral dilemma. Now, in your own life, it might feel like every choice that you make is a moral dilemma. Like what toilet paper to buy, or if you have like a strong affinity for like being a specific type of health person. Like, I remember crying when, like, probably 10 years ago that I was like, couldn't find juice that didn't have high fructose corn syrup in it. My decision to be very a stickler to that caused me great duress. And it's not like decisions are bad for that reason. Decisions help you hold on to your integrity. When you decide to stand up for somebody else, or decide to stand up for yourself in a relationship. I remember, like, a lot of times in different types of relationships when I finally said, no, I'm not being treated this way. And I made a decision. It was not like I couldn't go back on it. I mean, I could, but then I would look like a fool. And it wasn't a choice in the same way as like having options are. There are infinite choices. This is why people struggle with them. Like day-to-day choices. Like, there always feels like I can't do something. So when I'm coaching people, and even coaching myself, because I have, people, we all struggle. Even if we are guides for other people, we still got shit to work through, because that's life. So as a person who has choices to make, there doesn't always seem to be the perfect or the best choice. But choices are, you can evaluate a choice afterwards. Meaning, like, you can decide to change your mind after you've made a choice. With decisions, they're much harder. It's not impossible unless it's that type of situation. That's the only kind of decision that if you make about yourself or another person is that you can't take back. You can't take back things that can't be changed in the future. This is what makes people get spiral in the choice decision instead of being like, no, I'm putting a marker in the sand and saying, no, this does not work for me anymore. Or, no, I want more of this. Like say if you're in a romantic relationship and you want more passion or connection or intimacy or just feeling seen and understood, it's going to take work, and that's a decision. And that one takes two people's decision. And that's why relationships are friendship, romantic. This is why it's challenging, because two people have to make a coordinated decision and repeatedly remake that decision again and again and again. With work, you might have to decide between doing one project over the other. Now, with somebody with ADD, it's incredibly difficult to choose when there's thousands of projects in my mind. So I tend to go with the one that has the most urgency or the most emergency feeling. Now, or sometimes because, fun of dopamine, I'll do the thing that's easiest or the most rewarding. That's executive planning, executive functioning, and that's not always easy to deal with on top of all the things that are going on in the world, in your life, in the choices that you make and the decisions. But what makes it easier is making sure you understand what your values are, what you really, really, really are committed to. I commit to freedom in my own life, and it doesn't mean that I haven't had struggles because of that, because when I choose freedom, I'm cutting off things that seem easier when there's less freedom attached. Now, that's why I'm an entrepreneur. It's incredibly stressful at times, but so is working for a corporation like I used to do. Working in social work, that was stressful too. They say pick your hard, and I hate that analogy because it's not like you're choosing to have a hard life. It's just like everything comes with things. Some things are easier to deal with than others. Some things are wanted to, like sometimes my hardest day working with a client, because they're having a struggle getting through a mental block or a choice or just feeling upset, is that those are my favorite days. Not because they're struggling, but because I know my expertise can help them and benefit them. And they do. And then they have a shift or a realization or a mindset change or a behavior change, and then and that's hard. It's not hard. It's hard to see people mentally or emotionally or physically struggle, or it's called empathy. I'd rather have empathy than have nothing. I'd rather be not a soulless individual who can't feel the discomfort of somebody else's pain. That's part of my job, to help them through that, but there's always this is why they always say the grass is always greener. It's because you don't know what weeds are in that other grass. And sometimes the weeds in the other grass are still better than the weeds that you're on now. So that's the decision. That's what makes it hard about choosing a life that you desire. But knowing what you value. Like if you value certain things, there's not a lot of wiggle room, you decide it's done, then you have to follow through, or else you've just made a baby ass choice. Like you haven't even made a choice. It's almost like it doesn't really matter. Choices are infinite and decisions are more permanent, but those decisions can be reversed or can be adapted as long as it's not like the ultimate decisions. You know what I'm saying? If you decide to hurt another human being with intention or purpose, that you can't take back. Can you make amends? Can you apologize? Can you actually change your behavior? Yes. But those choices make is it a choice or is it a decision? And that's where intent comes in. But in your own life, if you want to feel more decisive, if you want to get out of the spiral of choice, you just want, because that's more solid, right? Like once you make a decision, like say if you're going to lose weight or find the love of your life, which is a little bit more complicated because it involves other humans, but legitimately, any type of desire that you want, you have to make it a decision and not just a choice, because choices will make you go into a spiral of what's the perfect solution. And the only perfect solution is, if you make a choice, you can change it. That's wonderful, because then you have more information and wisdom from after the choice. Like when I was younger, I quit jobs left and right without a plan. Now, being who I am today, would I do those things? I would do them more with hesitation, not because it wasn't the right thing to do, is because I know what the consequences of those choices. The decision has always been freedom over that kind of feeling of entrapment that I get from working for other people. And that has never steered me wrong. If you want support one-on-one, I have one-on-one coaching. one-off sessions, packages, etc. DM me or message me if you want more info.